Welcome to What is Truth? Brought to you by the Southern New Mexico Church of God in Las Cruces, New Mexico. What is Truth is a weekly program which seeks to focus our attention on the truth of God's Word. Now, with this week's lesson, here's Pastor Meyer Stahl.
Welcome to the program. I'm Meyer Sthal, the pastor of the Southern New Mexico Church of God, bringing you the program, What is Truth? Now, I'd like to clear up something before we get started. We have been accused of teaching salvation by works, and we do not teach salvation by works. We teach salvation by faith. Now, but our works are important, and disobeying God can keep us out of the kingdom, out of His kingdom, and out of His family. That's what I want to point out. So we're talking about the fourth commandment today, and that fourth commandment is relevant today. Please do not turn the channel. We're going to prove about how many people are going to be saved. It's an important program. I don't want you to miss it. So we're going to get started, and before we get started, we're offering two very important booklets. The first is God's Holy Days. Okay? You know that God has holy days that reveal His plan of salvation. If you don't know about God's holy days, we'll stop there. If you don't know about God's holy days, how would you know about His plan of salvation? Well, it's all predicated on His holy days that start out with the Passover. Now, the Passover was the day that Jesus Christ was crucified. He took our place. He took our bullet, so to speak, and He paid the penalty for our sins. And that's where we get our salvation, because we have faith in that sacrifice. So I want to straighten that out. The second booklet is also very important. It's the booklet, Why Do You Observe Sunday? Most Christians observe Sunday as the day of coming together, the day of convocation. And where did it come from? When did that get started? And the booklet here points out that the Bible teaches the observance of the Sabbath. And it asks the question, which day did Christ and the apostles observe? Which day did Paul teach Gentile converts to observe? How did the day become changed from the seventh to the first day of the week? I ask you to please read this booklet with an open mind. If you are already right, honest investigation will but confirm it. If you are wrong, you should want to know it. So you can send away for these two booklets. The phone number is on the screen, and they're absolutely free. We never ask the public for money. And you send away for those booklets, we'll send them right out to you. And we're going to get started now, and we're going to go to Genesis chapter 2, and we're going to start in verse 1. And here it says in Genesis 2, verse 1, Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. So God put everything together. And on the seventh day, God ended His work which He had made, and He rested on the seventh day from all His work which He had made. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it He had rested from all His work which God created and made. Now, the question was he tired? Was he all worn out because of this work? No. He said, let this happen, and that happened. Let the earth bring forth the vegetables and the fruits and the trees and so forth, and it happened. Everything he said, let this happen, and it happened. He wasn't tired, but he rested as an example for us today. That's why he rested. And he wants you and I to rest on the Sabbath day, not any other day. That day was made holy, as it says here. He blessed the seventh day. He sanctified it. Sanctified it means he made it holy. Now, if you pick another day, it's a work day. All right? Let's go now to the next verse, chapter 5. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 5, and we're going to look at verse 22. Genesis 5, verse 22 says, "And Enoch walked with God after he begat Methuselah for 300 years. And all the days of Enoch were 365 years. So he lived 365 years old. People lived at that time long lives. Methuselah lived over 900 years. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not. That means because he died. He was not. For God took him. And it says here, he walked with God. That's the important thing I want you to get. Now, we're going to go to the book of Jude. And in Jude, there's only one chapter in Jude. And we're going to look at verse 14. "And Enoch also, the seventh from Adam," he was the seventh in the generations from Adam, "prophesied of these." There's called the book of Enoch. It's not in the Bible. It's an extra book, but it's pretty relevant, saying, "Behold, the Lord comes with 10,000s of his saints to execute judgment upon all and to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds which they have ungodly committed, and all their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. These are murmurers, complainers, walking after their own lusts, and their mouths speaking great swelling words, having men's persons in admiration because of advantage." Okay. How they told you that there should be mockers in the last time who should walk after their own ungodly lusts. So these are people who are going to be judged. They're going to be judged for what they've done. Now we're going to stop there for a moment and do some explaining. How many Christians do you suppose are alive today in this generation, the generation that we live in today? How many would you suppose? Well, if you took all the Catholics and the Protestants, and you took all the other groups of people, even the ones who are in cults like Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses that profess Christ, if you take them all together, it's about somewhere in a ballpark of about a third of mankind today are professing Christians. Now, if you take that figure of 1/3, and there's about 8 billion people on this planet today, you would be somewhere near about 2.6 billion of those 8 billion would be Christians or professing Christians. Now, Jesus pointed out that there were 5 wise and 5 foolish virgins. So let's say the church is 50% saved. Only 50% is actually saved. So that would bring us down to about 1.3 billion. Let's round it off. Let's round it off to 1 billion people walking this planet today that consider themselves saved. They're waiting for Jesus Christ to come back. They're waiting to be lifted up from this earth to meet the Lord in the clouds in the air. They're waiting for the resurrection, and they're prepared for it. Okay, so let's go back to Jude one more time. And we're in Jude verse 14. And we're going to look at it one more time. Jude 14. And Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, Behold, the Lord comes with 10,000s of his saints. 10,000s, not millions. We'll stop there. Not millions, not billions, not trillions. There's supposedly at least 1 billion people professing Christ today who expect to be raised up from the earth when Jesus Christ comes. And coming back with Jesus Christ, his saints, in the tens of thousands, not millions and not billions. Well, what happened here? Well, let's go now to Revelation chapter 12. Revelation chapter 12, and we're looking here at verse 9. Revelation 12, verse 9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceives the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Okay? He deceives the whole world. This whole world is in deception. We'll stop there. Now, a person who is deceived doesn't know he's being deceived. If you were being deceived and you knew it, you wouldn't be deceived. So a deceived person doesn't know he's being deceived, because if he knew he was being deceived, he wouldn't be deceived. Make sense to you? Well, sure. It has to. Okay, now, so deception is so great. Deception is so great that people don't know. They just don't know. And most people who are keeping Sunday instead of the Sabbath day are deceived, because Jesus is coming back with only 10,000s of his saints. Not millions, not billions, and not trillions of people are saved. So if you think you're saved, you better check it out. You better know. He who thinks he stands, beware lest he fall. Now we're going to take a short break. We're coming back very shortly. Please don't go away. We've got so much more. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Ray Bamberg with Here on Earth. I would like to invite you for a free hearing evaluation to our office. We've been here in southern New Mexico for 34 years helping people hear better.
Hey, don't touch that dial, because you're watching the only independent TV station here in Las Cruces, the Las Cruces channel. Keep watching.
Call Mark Goldstein, the Safe Money Guy, at 575-556-2472 to learn about innovative strategies now available to help you grow, protect, and preserve your money and financial future, regardless of market conditions.
There you go.
So great. Do all these different gears to the plan.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay, guys. Not all.
Hi, welcome back to the program. In case you tuned in late, our program today is part 3 of Is the Fourth Commandment Relevant Today? Are all the commandments relevant today? Yes, Jesus said, if you love me, keep my commandments. So if we profess that we love Jesus Christ, we should be keeping his commandments. Most Christians have no problem at all with 9 of the 10 commandments. They have no problem. They don't want to worship other gods. They don't want to worship idols. They don't take the name of, most Christians do not take the name of God in vain. And then we're going to skip the 4th commandment and go to the 5th. Most Christians would agree we should not murder, we should not commit adultery, we should not steal, we should not lie, we should not want anybody else's goods, and so forth. So we have no problem with 9 out of 10 of God's commandments. Why do we have a problem with the 4th commandment? The 4th commandment says what? It says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. And here it is here in Exodus chapter 12 in verse 8. Let's read it. Remember. Why does he say remember? Because the world has forgotten. That's why. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shall you labor and do all your work. But the 7th day, not a 7th day, it's the 7th day, is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your cattle, nor the stranger that is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth. The first 6 days he made the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it, made it holy. So it's a holy day. Now, how did Christians get to keep Sunday? Well, it's really simple. In 321 AD, along came a pagan emperor Constantine, a Roman emperor Constantine, in 321 AD, and he convened the Council of Laodicea, in which he declared that Christians will no longer keep the Sabbath of the Jews, but will keep the venerable day of the sun. Look up the word venerable in your dictionary. Venerable means holy, holy day of the sun. He was a sun worshiper. He worshiped the sun. So he thought he could do one thing. He could bring all Christians and pagans together in one religion. So he formed one religion out of the two groups of people, pagans and Christians. But he made changes. And 4 years later, he made another change. At the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, he made the change that Christians will no longer keep Passover, but will keep Easter. Now, Easter is a recognition of the goddess of fertility, whose name was Easter, Esther, Astarte. She had different names that sounded like Easter. And Ashtar was another one. And it was a day that was close by the Passover day, but it wasn't the Passover day. Which day did Jesus Christ rise up on? Which day was he executed? It was the Passover day. And God used that Passover day to help us to understand his plan of salvation. It is one of the holy days that we find in the book of Leviticus, especially chapter 23. You could read it for yourself. Now here we are in Exodus chapter 20. We just read that. Let's go now to Exodus chapter 31, and we're going to look at verse 13. Exodus chapter 31 and verse 13. Let's read it. Speak you also unto the children of Israel, saying, verily, my Sabbaths, see that's plural, my Sabbaths you shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am the Lord that does sanctify you. We'll stop here for a minute. We are sanctified by keeping God's Sabbath. The Sabbath belongs to God. It doesn't belong to anyone, any one group. It belongs to God. God was the one who created the Sabbath by resting on it, and he hallowed it, he made it holy, and he wants all people to rest on that day. All right, let's read a little further now. And here it says, verse 14, you shall keep the Sabbath, therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defiles it shall surely be put to death. I think God means it when he says this. There was a man, I'll stop here for a minute. There was a man carrying sticks on the Sabbath, and he was taken and put in a ward, and Moses went to the Lord to find out what they should do with this man who was carrying sticks on the Sabbath. And the Lord told Moses to have him stoned. And they stoned the man as an example of someone who was working on the Sabbath, who knew better, who was told that he should rest on the Sabbath. He was out gathering sticks. So God gave us an example. God doesn't do that today. He'll let you wash your car, let you paint the house, he'll let you do the laundry, he'll let you do all this other stuff, and he won't kill you. But this was the example that God wanted to bring out. All right, so here it is. Everyone that defiles it shall surely be put to death, for whosoever does any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. 6 days may work be done, but in the seventh, not a seventh, in the seventh, direct article here, the, is the, direct article again, the Sabbath of rest, holy to the Lord. Whosoever does any work on the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death. And that was the case back then. They were put to death. Wherefore, the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, for a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. Now we have one more that we're going to, and that's Leviticus chapter 23. Leviticus chapter 23 says, verse 3 says, 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation, means you come together with people of like mind. You shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. Who does it belong to? It belongs to the Lord. That's who it belongs to. Okay, so we're finishing up here, and we want to make sure that we tell you about these two very important booklets, God's Holy Days. Did you know God has holy days that reveal his plan of salvation? And the second booklet is, Why Do You Observe Sunday? And it gives a very good explanation of why people do observe Sunday. And they're free. There's no obligation. Please call us at area code 575-650-7359. Until next time, this is Meyer, Stahl, the pastor of the Southern New Mexico Church of God, saying goodbye, my friends.
You have been listening to What is Truth with Pastor Meyer Stahl of the Southern New Mexico Church of God, located in Las Cruces, New Mexico. For copies of today's lesson or for more information, call area code 575-650-7359. That's 575-650-7359. Join us next week at this same time for another edition of What is Truth. Until next week, we wish you God's richest blessings.